All right, we're live. We're going to talk about a couple of things. Guys, I'm sorry. We're having some problems with the sound over here, and I don't even know why I have these flipping headphones on. They're not working. Uh, so we've had a couple of sound issues. Yesterday, we lost sound entirely. Looks like today my monitor says we're getting sound, so let's do a show, and I'll watch it in an hour or two, and hopefully it won't be bullshit like yesterday. So... Oh, sorry about that. There's the feedback from the hearing aids. Yay. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the red flag laws today. This headline: Second Amendment advocates warn Trump over support for red flag laws. Okay. My first problem with red flag laws coming from Donald Trump is this. Let's say he goes ahead with it, passes red flag laws. Does that mean I'm suddenly not going to vote for Donald Trump? Well, no. Because given the options, and let me be clear, if the Donald had said the words red flag laws in the primary back in 2015-16, he would not have been the nominee, or at least he would not have gotten my vote. That would have been the end of the conversation. But right here, here's the problem. If the Donald pushes the red flag laws and we end up with them, well, the alternative is some Democrat that's going to push for worse gun control. Not just worse gun control, but worse gun control in addition to the red flag laws, because it's not going to, like, they're going to get elected and then repeal the damn things, is it? That's not part of the math. That's not how the game is played, unfortunately. But here's what I think, and I think this may be the same thing that's going on with the 25-cent gas tax hike support, but that may be wishful thinking. So to be clear, the case that I'm about to lay out is a hopeful case. Not necessarily what I think is actually going on, but more of a, this is our best case scenario. The Donald's playing chicken. So...
Yep. Art of the deal, baby.
Yeah. He said red flag... This phrasing that he supports red flag laws. Well, what he did is he said we might think about red flag laws if it comes with border funding. I think, or at least I hope, that this is actually very clever. Because what he has done is he has tied gun control to border funding. Or more importantly, to spending in general, which means that in order for red flag laws to hit the president's desk, it has to be passed in the House. It has to be voted on as a spending bill. So imagine a bill that says red flag laws and $5 billion for the wall. Now, every Democrat and Republican in the House must choose to either vote for gun control or to vote against the wall. And every media outlet is going to be able to play that. If you voted for the wall, then no, you voted against gun control. And if you voted for gun control, oh no, you voted against the wall. No, I've got that backwards. So every Democrat that votes for the gun control, we get to point at them and say, haha, you voted for border funding. You voted to build the wall. And every Republican that votes against the red flag law, we get to point at and say, you voted against the wall. So it's a win-win on that front, as far as the bill getting through the House. And then we know with relative certainty that such a bill never passes the Senate. It never makes it to his desk. But even if it does, even if it gets to Trump's desk, where he can then veto it, now we have on record, going into the primary, a yay or nay vote on the border wall and on gun control for everybody on record. That's a big deal. So I'm a little more sure of this one than of making a similar claim on the 25 cents per gallon tax hike idea. But I think that's what's going on here. We've got a case of the Donald playing chicken. And to be clear, it's not like he doesn't have a history of doing this, right? I'll just pop up Trump's tweets on North Korea. Yeah, North Korea is looking for trouble. If China decides to help, that would be great. If not, we will solve the problem without them, right? I'm going to attack North Korea. It's going to be so good. It's going to be the biggest attack in history. Everyone is going to thank me. I think this one's a fake, but Kofefi. I think that one's actually a Photoshop fake, but let's be real. That sounds like some shit that Donald would tweet.
Well, yeah, and every time in the past I've ever said, Donald, what are you doing? Why are you talking about this? He's never actually taken things too far. It's always been a way to get himself a seat at the table, and then he moves however. He always pulls back to whatever his original position was going to be anyway. But if you've ever been in sales, sometimes the hardest thing to do is to get a potential client to sit down and have lunch with you. Everything after that can be smooth sailing, but getting your foot in the door is the hard part. And I think that's what this maneuver is. It's him getting his foot in the door. He can go, hey, look, I tried to do gun control, and the Democrats didn't want to play ball. And so now I'm done. Why do it their way? They're not willing to take this seriously. I mean, I think in a lot of ways this is an optics win. Donald Trump has been a star and a media figure for so long that he understands that's where a lot of his power comes from. And so he is manipulating the situation. I think it's total, 4D chess here, baby. Because he talked about red flag laws once before, a little more than a year ago, or a little less than a year ago, but he never actually did anything about it. There's other things that he talks about, like border wall funding, and when Congress won't cooperate, he issues an executive order. And even when he did the thing I disagree with bump stock bans, he didn't wait on Congress. He ordered his Department of Justice to find a way to get rid of bump stocks. So I think the fact that basically this is all talk and no action, well, that tells you everything you need to know. Donald Trump does have the bully pulpit. He could just do a national televised address and say, Congress should come back in session and put a bill on my desk. But he hasn't done that. So I think this is all maneuvering.
And let me say this about the bump stock thing, because I hate the bump stock thing. Just the bump stock was a total lose. It was an absolute lose for the president. But I think he learned a valuable lesson there, and that is that, well, frankly, the Democrat is never happy. If you don't capitulate entirely, concede everything that's requested, and injure yourself in the process, then you haven't done enough. We could outright repeal the Second Amendment and turn in all our guns, and the Democrats would not be happy unless it hurt and unless it caused physical injury to pro-Second Amendment advocates. If no pro-Second Amendment advocate was killed in the seizure, that would not be sufficient. And frankly, I don't think even that would satisfy them. They will never, ever have enough. As long as there is a person alive who can feed themselves and still look at themselves in the mirror in the morning, the Democrat will never be happy. As long as there's
the statist always needs more power. That's the solution. We didn't spend enough money. And we didn't have enough power. So we need more money. We need more power. Gun control laws up to this point are, even if I'm being charitable, I'd say they're more of a failure than they are a success. So to suggest that the solution is more gun control laws is just an utter fallacy. We're after
the 10-minute mark, so let's go ahead and get your story in.
Okay.
This is why we do Firearms Friday. This is why we do White Hats Matter.
Because they matter. And this one's coming to us from August 13th in Saginaw, Texas, from a local CBS affiliate. Saginaw police are investigating the deadly shooting of a robbery suspect by a homeowner inside the garage. Assistant Police Chief Russell Ragsdale told CBS 11, what a great name, Russell Ragsdale, that sounds like a cop. Told CBS 11 around 5:45 p.m., 2 men attempted to rob a homeowner around the 1100 block of Trinity Trail. He said one of the suspects pulled out a gun. That's when the homeowner also pulled out a gun and shot one of the suspects. That suspect died. The other...
DRT. Go.
That suspect died. The other one ran off and is still at large. The homeowner is not currently facing any charges. It's not clear if the homeowner knew the suspects. And that's it right there, man. Said it, 3 weeks in a row now. It's not that I want anybody to die. I really don't. But if you never rob a liquor store, the liquor store owner never pulls a double barrel from underneath the counter and loads you up with so much birdshot you look like a plate of spilled SpaghettiOs. Best case scenario, once this happens, is for the suspect to be laying on the ground dead. Don't rob people, and especially, but you're going to rob a guy and you're going to flash a gun at him while you do it? What do you think is going to happen next? Apparently this. Apparently you get shot and you die. And while that's tragic in its own way, I say good. These things right here, white hats, they matter. And that's your next edition of, well, who stops a bad guy with a gun? A good guy with a gun. Every time the left tells you, no, that never happens. It happens.
It always happens. No. It always happens. A bad guy with a gun doesn't stop until there's a good guy with a gun. If it's not a lawfully armed citizen who draws and ends the conflict, it's ended by a police officer. A good guy with a gun.
Yes, sir. So wake the hell up.
Okay. In fairness, there's the occasional suicide that brings everything to an end. But...
which has a tendency to happen after the cops show up. Which they very rarely off themselves before they hear the sirens.
In fact, I don't think I could... leave it in the comments if y'all come up with an instance where one of the shooters killed himself before the cops showed up. I don't think you'll find one. A bad guy with a gun always ends due to the intervention of a good guy with a gun. All right, that's the show. We'll see you Monday morning, maybe Sunday evening, but don't hold your breath too hard. And until then, remember, if you build a man a fire, you'll keep him warm for the evening. But when you set a man on fire, he'll be warm for the rest of his life.